So let's just start. So calling this meeting to order, roll call.
Mr. Diaz?
Here.
Ms. Patton?
Here.
Ms. Withers?
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. 3 out of 5. Yeah, the other two had situations and they checked in. So any changes or anything else for the agenda? It's a hearings, and so we'll go into closed sessions pretty soon, but we normally also ask if there's public input, so. No? What about hearing officer?
Alex, yes, he's supposed to be here.
He's supposed to be here. He hasn't checked in with me. He doesn't usually check in with me. He's your contract.
No, we had it on the calendar.
Yeah. He hasn't checked in with you.
I assumed he would be here because he had it scheduled.
He had it scheduled. Well, we can't move without a hearing officer.
I can go and give him a call.
Yes, please prod him, because we need to make sure. The logistics of these meetings there is, besides trying to get 5 board members, or a quorum of the board members, which is in volunteer schedules, it means usually going 2 months in advance. We need a hearing officer, we need the appellant, and then we need the city represented in scheduling everybody. Oh, no, actually, especially with COVID, this room became an issue, scheduling it. Now we are projecting 3 other meetings that we have the room for, and we're confirming, I think this week the email went out for us to get, to say which ones we're at, and then we'll put them out publicly. But, yeah, so it's a lot of moving pieces, and hopefully we'll have enough of the right pieces for today.
We just have one in July.
I think,
She put out 4 dates and confirmed 2. Yeah. Yeah, but I think her last piece was confirming hearing officer. So she had the room, she got us on the doodle. We all said yes, probably for at least 2. I asked her to put together as many as we could, because we can always drop 1 or 2 if we needed to, but we can't always construct to get 1. So go for the 4, drop whatever, logistically somebody can't make it or something if we don't have quorum planned. And as you know, we've had a couple of times in which we didn't have quorum.
Although I assume she picked the dates because there was, in the doodle poll, people indicated they could.
That's right.
There was sufficient number to.
That's right. So the quorum part was done.
Yeah.
But I think she needed
The
hearing
hearing
officer
officer.
to make sure we could. And then when that gets confirmed, then we go back to communicating with everybody, including appellant. So
Okay, gotcha.
not easy.
Could this be yours? Maybe you started over here. I don't know, I guess we must have been having a little.
So I don't know how you all keep track of, all the pieces, especially from paper or whatever else.
Lots of staples and paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
yeah, is that where you are too?
Yeah, I put,
Yeah.
although I didn't realize Carla had sent out an updated one that had like in big bold letters which one it was.
Which
A lot
number
of
it was, yeah.
was
Which
really
was-
helpful, but I didn't see
Yeah.
that, so I just printed off the main one.
Yeah.
No,
But it is hard, I start out with things in paper clips and all nice and tidy, and by the end of a meeting, it's sort of like, oh my gosh.
no, it's, yeah. So last time I took up to writing my notes so that when we came back on open session, I would have a 3x5 that would guide me,
That's a good idea.
which is good for me. But back when we were in COVID and I had to handle the technology upstairs,
Oh,
recording the meeting, and then keeping my own notes on the same computer, it was painful, because then I would come down here and I'd be lost with my notes. So, anyway, so now I have a notebook that carries all my paper, and that goes in my folder, but in the meantime. Well, I guess I was afraid we'd have another non-quorum situation, so that's why I sent you guys and confirmed
Yeah,
individually.
no, I appreciate that.
So I had the
Appreciate
story,
that.
but it didn't even occur to me to do
The hearing officer.
the hearing officer, because
isn't
he's
on
not
that Same
mine.
loop,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're going out of town,
No, I'm here now, I'm not
Okay.
until, I don't leave now until the end of July.
okay. I leave next week.
I'm out of town the 16th.
There you go, so, yeah. And then after, at that point is when I also leave again, so we come back. So it's hard to get us all,
Oh, my
or
goodness.
enough in town, so.
I'm-
And therefore, pushing back is not so easy. But when we have a technical, like we had that day in which we didn't know what quorum was, so we didn't have a clear, that was a pain. And Alec Grady paid his dues. He had messed up one day, and so he brought
Donuts.
donuts
Lots of
last time.
donuts.
Yeah. This would be fatal. We worked so hard to classify. To lose today would be just.
Move forward without the hearing officer, but everyone has to be in agreement.
Everyone on the CPRB?
CPRB and the appellant and the city.
Okay, so, given that information, that everyone must be in agreement, why don't we, I'll call for motion to go into closed session, because that way privacy of everybody is guarded. We can go upstairs to the hearing room, and we can decide there whether we close or not. So that's what we'll do. I think then, I'll take a motion to go into closed session.
So moved?
Thank you, Peggy, and
Second.
second by Ashley, and we, all in agreement, say aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Aye,
there he is.
and aye, okay.
Never mind.
Oh, there he is. We just voted to go into closed session to decide whether we're gonna move without Alex or not, so.
Thank you for sparing us that, yeah.
Thank you, so that was perfect then, entrance. Let's go upstairs and we'll start the session upstairs. That was close.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just us. I saw 5 people, and I think that I'll entertain a motion to close the closed session? To come,
Come out of closed session?
oh yeah, a motion to come out of closed session. That sounds good.
I second that motion.
Oh, but I have to, oh, you moved, you
sorry.
so moved and she.
I was late, I'm
seconded.
sorry.
That's good. No, we're good. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. So during this portion of a hearing is when we vote on specific cases. And today we had 11 cases before us. And so what you will hear is a vote with discussion per case, as we're required to vote on each one. But you will also hear that in our discussion, we may have some new ways of handling some of these cases for now. There are times, and I want to clarify this because the motions will probably go rather quickly. The ordinance forces us to make, to categorize our decisions into 5. Sustaining, the letter that was written in the ordinance, it says from the chief to the citizen complaint. And we can either move to sustain the letter or to move to not sustain the letter. The other three options, either to remand or to, oh, I lost my other one.
Table?
No, that's not, and that's not an option.
Okay.
And that's not an official option. The other that I have is, I now lost it. It's in my notes.
Well, here, you're looking for these?
Thank you.
These things?
Thank you very much. So we did not sustain the findings letter, to sustain the findings letter, to remand for further investigation, to issue no finding where the complainant failed to produce information or didn't show, basically, or there was a mediated response. So normally, and I think of today, we will not delve into the last three options. We will deal with the first two options, that is to sustain the findings letter or to not sustain the findings letter. And that's what we will go through, and perhaps with some discussion right before we vote. So I'll now entertain a motion for R26, 2020 R26.
I would like to make the motion to sustain the city's findings.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion has been made to sustain the letter as written from the city to the appellant. All those in agreement say aye.
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 Aye. We are all in agreement that this findings letter was adequate. There was no other violations. The same for, we now will move to 2020 R24.
And I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings letter from the city related to 20R24.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion before we vote? Okay, I want to clarify on this one. As it applies in several cases, the complaint is legitimate in that sometimes the city made mistakes, was late, or otherwise was not giving satisfactory service. The letters from the city to the complainant so admit. And when we vote to sustain the letter, what we're saying is you're admitting the mistake. You may have made some kind of inconsistent, and you promise to do better. So the motion is to sustain the letter from the city. All those in favor, or no, we each vote individually? I got
Well,
lost.
you did all in favor before, but
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. So we are sustaining the letter on R24. We have 2020-27.
And I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings letter from the city related to AP 2027.
I second, sorry. Spacing.
Thank you for the motion. I want to clarify that on this and in several others, we actually have the part of a complaint that will be handled at a different time. So today we are directly addressing ourselves to the letter and to the, once again, admittance that there was a mistake made by the city. And while the complainant is right, the addressing of that complaint by admitting fault is what the sustaining is. Any other comment? Okay, all those in favor of sustaining this letter, admitting the untimely answers, please say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. 20-28.
And I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings letter from the city, which was a reasonable response in light of the circumstances, which was the start of COVID.
Okay,
I second.
seconds. Any discussion? I want to clarify my answer here. While the circumstances are there, I'm not yet convinced that the city's response was satisfactory. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those not in favor, say nay. Nay. And therefore, 2-1, sustaining the letter. 2029 is the next one on our list for today. I'll entertain a motion.
I'm making the motion to, well, we're not making a motion on this one.
Oh, that's right.
We're tabling this one because we needed some more information and clarification from the city in regards to the accuracy of the paperwork the board received.
More specifically for the city to, the response letter from the city, the dates of references are not understandable. So we'll need to reconsider and vote on this one when we get to that information. So we don't have to vote on 29. Let's go to 2030.
I would like to make the motion to sustain the findings of the letter from the city.
I will second that.
Thank you. And on this particular one, I do have a comment to myself. The letter addresses and stands a position from the city that I believe is, while not a pleasing position, they took it, they stand by it, and that's probably the reason why I will also vote accordingly. But I don't necessarily agree with the position, but they stood by it and they can justifiably do that. So all those in favor of supporting the letter, please say aye.
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 The letter is sustained, aye. So this one is also sustaining unanimously. 2031,
I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings letter from the city.
on 2031,
I second.
thank you. On discussion, I think this is one in which we're postponing the actual case part of the complaint. We are only, or you didn't specify it in the, I guess you did in the motion, for the
Finding-
letter itself.
Yes, from the letter from the city, correct.
The letter from the city, not necessarily the case is finished. Okay, thank you. All those in favor for 2031 and sustaining the letter, please say aye.
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 Thank you. 2032,
And I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings letter from the city related to AP 2032.
I second.
thank you. The letter itself contained, I think, accurate information, even if yet to be revisited as to the content of the complaint, but not the letter. So all those in favor of sustaining the letter for 2032, please say aye.
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 Aye. And we'll come back to the content of that issue. 2038,
I would like to make the motion to sustain the letter from the city.
I'll second that.
thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of sustaining the letter from the city?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 2045,
I'd like to make a motion to sustain the letter from the city.
I will second that.
this is another one in which the city admits in that letter of great delays and having made mistakes. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. 2046,
I would like to make a motion to sustain the findings in the letter from the city.
I will second that.
Yes, and as far as of discussion, I think the testimony heard was for me a good reminder that you can be right in going through the process and pointing out the mistake. It is in the way that, in this case, the city responds, that we have to judge the content of the situation. So I believe the city has made amends and will continue to make amends in this. So all those in favor of sustaining the letter for 2046, please say aye.
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 Aye. And we are thus finished with today's cases. Any other questions, comments? No? Then we'll consider this.
We did talk about the fact that the next set of appeals, there's
Mike.
22 of them.
Mike.
We did talk about the fact that the next set of appeals that we categorized into one category, there are 22 of them. So there was discussion whether or not, how we wanted, do we want to try to get all 22? Do we want to divide them in half? Do we want to get through just as many as we can? How do we want to do that so that we all have the correct information?
Well, my initial thought was because we took care of 11 today, that we would split them in half and do 11 and 11, and how you want to handle those 4 other cases. We could split those in half and put 2 and 2 with the 11, so it would be 13 and 13
Okay.
with the 2 dates that we have on the calendar at this time.
I'm fine.
Because we actually have 3 appeal dates on the, potentially, right? Okay,
Yes.
so we have that third one if we,
Just in case.
yeah, which we may. Okay, good, I think that's a good plan.
Okay.
Okay with that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn for today?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. And everybody say aye at the same time.
Aye.
Let's go home.